Keys to the race tonight: adjust for the changing track conditions. We just had the NASCAR Xfinity Series on track. How can you adjust to that rubber and be quick? Be in the top 5 in the final few laps, and you've got a chance to win tonight and make good decisions in the draft. You do those 3 things, and your chance at going to victory lane at the Mohegan Sun 100 stand pretty tall here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Yeah, it's where you want to be when you get down to the final laps of this race. You got about 2 to go. As you mentioned, Joe, you want to be up there inside the top 5. We've seen winners come from as far back as 5th and 6th. Even if that's where they're running when the white flag comes out. So that's where you want to be when you get back around lap 98 or 99.
You have a couple of drivers in the field here tonight that are running one-off races or casual races. Among them, Corey LaJoie, NASCAR Cup Series regular, will be driving the #1 car starting in the 6th position. Bobby Santos will start mid-pack today. He'll start 12th in car number 44. It's his first start of the season, but he's a 6-time winner here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That 44 car traditionally is very good at this racetrack.
Yeah, and he's one that will conserve equipment to be there at the end. So we'll have to see how conservative he is here in the early stages of the Mohegan Sun 100.
Field rolls up off turn number 4. Justin Bonsignor on the pole position on the bottom lane of the racetrack. Up onto the main straightaway, and the green flag is out. Mohegan Sun 100 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour heads off to turn number 1. To the back straightaway, Justin Bonsignor out in front. Anthony Nocella into second. Closes into the back bumper by the time they get to turn 3, and they are 2 and 3 wide. Corey LaJoie to the outside lane as Ronnie Williams goes all the way to the bottom in turn 4.
Yeah, aggressive move by Williams in the number 99, battling with Tommy Catalano. He won't win that battle this time as they drive down into turn number 1.
Top 5, 6, now 7 single file to the outside lane of the racetrack. A few cars stepping out of line a bit deeper in the field. Among them was a 58 car of Eric Goodale. You see the cars, Justin Bonsignor snaking his way down the back straightaway. These cars will draft like the Cup Series cars do at the big tracks at Daytona, Talladega, and now Atlanta. And so you'll see drivers try to break the draft of the car behind him, as Bonsignor did on the back straightaway.
Yeah, they're right now settling in, getting the feel for it. Some of them picking up a drafting partner there who they want to run with. And they continue to be nose to tail out of turn 2 and down the backstretch.
Here's Anthony Nocella making a bid for the race lead to the bottom of turn number 3. He'll take over the top spot. Nocella to the point. He was the winner of this race 1 year ago in a dramatic pass coming off turn number 4 to pick up the victory while the 2 leaders crashed in front of him. It's his first and only win. He said it's great to come into a race being the defending race winner. That's an honor that he has now out in front in car 46.
Yeah, trying to live up to that fame as he will lead the freight train down the backstretch. Bonsignor starts to reel him in, but will stay behind him as they enter turn 3.
And right behind them, 7 New York. That is Doug Coby, as Coby had a pretty quick race car. Corey LaJoie stepping up to the outside lane, not afraid to use that high groove in the progressively banked turns here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. But he loses some ground to Ronnie Silk as Tommy Catalano in the 54 looks to the inside.
Yeah, Catalano takes the advantage of the bottom being open and drives underneath. They are wheel to wheel as they were through the third and fourth turn and continue to be down the backstretch.
LaJoie really optimistic about the car that Robbie Fuller has put together for him in that one car, relationship that stems back many years for him and his family. Good battle here. Ronnie Williams in the 99 to the bottom. Tyler Ripkema with some drafting help from the 44 of Bobby Santos. That was that 6-time winner we talked about with the roll-off.
Yeah, you see how important it is to have somebody right behind you. That's what happened to Ronnie Williams on the straightaway, even though he gets into the turn well. As the leaders make their way down, here's that battle again between Corey LaJoie and the 54 of Catalano. Change for the lead.
It's Justin Bonsignor to go back out in front. Sweeps underneath Anthony Nocella to move back to the number 1 spot. And he will lead once again. Just 6 laps now complete. Nocella right to the back bumper as they came down the front straightaway, pushing Justin Bonsignor into turn 1.
Tyler Ripkema breaks out of the line. Going to work on Corey LaJoie. LaJoie will lead him out of turn 2 and down the backstretch.
Up front, you see Coby in the 7 New York stepping out of line, pulling a bit of a draft off the back bumper of Justin Bonsignor and sneaking underneath Anthony Nocella to take over second. Some of the teams said that Doug Coby had one of the quickest cars in practice yesterday, and he is proving that early. Dives down to the inside of the racetrack to the bottom of Justin Bonsignore to take over the race lead.
Yeah, add him to the list of lead changes as Coby goes to the point.
Here's Bonsignore, though, to challenge back to the bottom. Austin Beers will stick his nose underneath and try to challenge Anthony Nocella as Bonsignore goes to the lead. Beers tries to get into third, but he backpedals to the outside lane. Nocella and Silk get by.
Yeah, Beers just couldn't get back on the throttle fast enough and lost some ground there. Now he's contending with Tommy Catalano to the first and second turn.
Catalano, who goes to the outside lane, moves into the top 5. Behind them, Corey LaJoie in a battle with Tyler Ripkema, now falls into the clutches of Kyle Bonsignore. But here's Ronnie Silk, the championship point leader, working to the inside and taking over third.
Ronnie Silk would like nothing more than to get back into victory lane once again in this 2023 season, and especially do it here at New Hampshire. He's on a charge right up to the back bumper of Doug Coby.
Silk has been driving this season like he's got fire in his eyes. Unstoppable. 3-win season. He came at the season opener at New Smyrna. He won at the Riverhead Raceway last Saturday night. He won at the Wall Stadium in New Jersey. Coby now to the bottom, looking for the race lead once again over Justin Bonsignore.
Yeah, trading the lead like they've traded championships over the last handful of years. Doug Coby with Justin Bonsignore, but boy, Silk is right there knocking on the door.
10 championships among the drivers running first, second, and third. Coby with 6. Bonsignore's got 3 of them, and 1 going to Ron Silk, who rides in third, but Nocella sticking with him. Here comes Bonsignore again to the inside lane, drafting help from behind. Silk giving him a push to get into 3.
Gets in there and slides up in front of Doug Coby. Again, check off another lead change. We are going to have multiple lead changes here as we're only 10 laps, now 11 laps into the Mohegan Sun 100 here in New Hampshire.
There's a tremendous amount of trust among these 3 drivers at the front of the field, but you better believe that every single one of them, that rivalry starting to ratchet up just a little bit. On the short track at Wall Stadium last time out, Justin Bonsignore got into Ronnie Silk. Silk got back into Justin Bonsignore, and Silk got the win. Coby was in the middle of a couple of mix-ups in that race as well. These guys, they may say it's all good, and they park next to each other in the pit area, but the rivalry is intensifying, it's brewing, and one of these days it's going to break out, and when it does, it's going to be spectacular.
Yeah, interesting post-race interview with Justin Bonsignore last week, alluding to the fact of the battle with Ron Silk, kind of mentioning that maybe there's a little more than we are aware of. So let's see how that plays out here this afternoon.
And Bonsignore said, you know what, I need to be a bit smarter at the end of these races. I need to be a bit smarter on the restarts as races get toward the finish line. And that's what he needs to do. He looks in the rearview mirror this time by, and Ronnie Silk is there putting pressure on the race leader, Justin Bonsignore.
Bonsignore will lead him down the backstretch. Silk staying right there in striking distance, and Austin Beers working on Anthony Nocella right now. Tyler Ripkema looking right for some running room as well, right behind him in the 32.
Now, Beers has had a breakout season in that number 64 car. He won the race at Richmond earlier in the year. The other large track as Silk works to the inside of Justin Bonsignore to take over the top spot in turn 1. But going back to Austin Beers, only made 1 start here. He said, I want some drafting practice so I can get good at handling the draft as he battles for the 4th spot. Bonsignore crosses up Ron Silk and gets back out in front in turn 4.
Something that will not be unusual for the whole length of this race. Back and forth at the front. Bonsignore will lead that lap. Get credit with leading another lap as they have completed 15 of the Mohegan Sun 100.
Corey LaJoie starting to get the feel for that modified as he works underneath the 64 of Austin Beers midway down the back straightaway. Here comes Bobby Santos. Santos started back in the 12th position. Right now he's running 8th.
Santos making some moves early here in the race as the top 3 have really checked out from the rest of the field. They run nose to tail right across the stripe.
In years past here at Loudon, they have put the resin down through turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That was not applied this year for the NASCAR National Series. And those drivers now have a little bit of a different feel to this track, although we just saw 200 laps run here for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, so the rubber a lot different than what they had during their practice session yesterday.
Well, they seem to have gotten used to it at this point because the speeds have really ticked up, particularly amongst that top three as they continue to march away from the rest of the field.
Off camera at the moment, we were looking at some of the drivers who are moving through the field. Among them was the 2014 winner, Woody Pitkat. He has picked up 7 spots since the start of the race. He started back in 2013. He's up to 16th now as Ron Silk will take another look to the inside of Justin Bonsignor to the bottom of turn 3. He'll complete the pass as they come off turn 4.
Almost in a defensive way to make the pass and get back in the front so that he doesn't get challenged for a second spot. Silk's able to make it look easy, but Bonsignor stays right there, hooked to the back bumper of the 16.
1, 2, 3, nose to tail as they work their way off turn 2 to the back straightaway. We draw the comparison of racing here versus Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta, and how the draft comes into play. You see that here as Bonsignor uses a slingshot move to dive underneath Ronnie Silk one more time to jump back out in front. Well, some of these drivers have enlisted Cup Series sponsors or spotters to spot for them here today because that's such a critical component of the race. Doug Coby has a spotter for Bubba Wallace, Freddie Kraft, who grew up in this part of the country, knows modified racing. He's spotting for Doug Coby here today to give him a little bit extra edge and more information to be successful today.
You can see how the draft is helping Tyler Ripkema as he's catching quickly those front 3, making a 4-car freight train here in a moment. As another pass for the lead, Silk goes back to the point.
Ripkema is a driver who's really good on the long racetracks. This is the largest track, 1 mile in length, that they'll run at. That 32 car, a good strong run as a best of 10th here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. But he's got a very good race car in that 32. He started 10th today and has already picked up a handful of spots to move into 4th.
And get right into that lead draft as they change for the lead once again, and Bonsignor goes back to the point.
Bonsignor back out in front. Ronnie Silk trading the lead back and forth. And, you know, this race has more intensity in the early stages here, just past 20 laps complete, because there has been weather in the area all day long. And I think some of these drivers in the back of their mind are questioning whether or not this race is going to go the whole distance. And I think that's why you see so much action, so much aggressiveness here in the early stages as Silk goes back out in front.
Making the pass look routine, no problem. Nobody's putting up a fight or trying to block it for sure at this point of the race. 22 complete out of the Mohegan Sun 100 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And again, those front 3, Tyler Ripkema just about to catch him, and Austin Beers right behind him. There's a pretty good battle.
These two drivers that were toward the front, Corey LaJoie now running 9th. The 46 car, Anthony Nocella, he started 2nd, defending race winner. That car backpedaling a little bit. This is only the 2nd race Anthony Nocella has driven for Goody Motorsports in the 46 car as they rejoined this team together, and he stepped out of the family car that he had driven at the start of the season to be able to drive the balance of the season in the 46 car for the Goodale team.
Well, when he got that call, it wasn't much of a hesitation, and accepted the invitation rather quickly to get into that car, and they put the rest for a while, the family effort, so that he could get in and drive that number 46.
Lead change once again. Silk out in front. They come across the granite stripe this time by with 24 laps, just a lap shy of the quarter-way mark here in the Mohegan Sun 100 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. You see those top 3 single file, but all of a sudden you've got 5 cars there. Tyler Ripkema had been closing in, and now Austin Beers starting to move in among the top 5.
Yeah, they will all get together and form a 5-car freight train as we have yet another change for the lead. Third turn seems to be the place to get it done, carrying that momentum from the backstretch down into turn 3.
The crew chief for Justin Bonsignor in that 51 car is Ryan Stone, who spent some time not only in modified racing, but then went down south to race and worked for Junior Motorsports. In particular, he worked on the 7 car for Justin Allgaier as a crew member for that team. When he came back up north, he stayed with Ronnie Silk when he was looking for a place to stay and looking to figure out where he was going to live. And he stayed on Ronnie Silk's couch at his house in Norwalk, Connecticut. And so there's a lot of connection between these two teams. To go back one step further, we talked about those 6 championships that Doug Coby has in the 7 New York. Well, the crew chief that led him to a majority of those titles, they were right now Phil Moran, who is a crew chief for Ronnie Silk there in 2nd. It's a small family. All these guys grew up racing against each other. Their crew chiefs have battled with the wrenches behind the scenes. no surprise to see these veterans at the front of the field guiding all these cars around this New Hampshire Motor Speedway mile.
Well, right now they're playing pretty nice as the three of those keep dicing for the lead up front. We're going to encounter some of the back markers here and put another car down a lap. And we say playing nice because we haven't even gotten halfway. We're just past the quarter mark. 27 laps complete of the Mohegan Sun 100.
Working through the 97 car of Brian Dowza, midway down the back straightaway. And the racetrack tonight is going to change quite a bit. It'll start off loose, and that's as they work that Goodyear rubber off from the NASCAR Xfinity Series race earlier. They'll put the Hoosier tire on, the rubber from those tires into the turns, and that's going to make a big difference. Now, Woody Pitkat started in 23rd, and this car is on the move. Pitkat in the Stan Mertz number 6 has moved all the way up to 14th place, and boy, he's out of shape coming off turn 2.
Yeah, methodically making a move to the front. Question is, has he been trying it a little too hard to upset the handles on that car? Right now, he's got a length and a half over Jake Johnson racing off the 4th turn.
NASCAR gives you different options for engine packages that you can run. Last year, Anthony Nocella run in what is really the minority, a built motor, and that's what they've got in that 6 car for Woody Pitkat. Most of these teams run the NASCAR spec engine, which is put together by Robert Yates Racing for the most of the teams. They assemble it, they take care of the engines, but Woody Pitkat in this 6 team, they're running with a built motor. It's a slightly different combination, and it's got different advantages and different strengths. Woody Pitkat is putting that car to the test right now and having a great run and a good battle with the 3 car of Jake Johnson.
Well, he knows how to find victory lane here and has proven that before. Right now he's trying to get to the front, trying to hold off Jake Johnson.
Working to the back bumper of Anthony Nocella in the 46 is Woody Pitkat. Jake Johnson making his debut here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the 3 car, the Bowler Racing 3, looking to the inside of Woody Pitkat. To the bottom of 3, they've got the lap car of Brian Dowza to the outside lane. Johnson gets one. He's looking to get another one in the form of Anthony Nocella.
Yeah, that bottom was open, and Johnson just kept going. He pulls up alongside Nocella, trying to take that spot away.
Jake Johnson's a true talent. Has spent a tremendous amount of time racing in super late models. He's got a full-bodied race here in late model competition at New Hampshire, but his first modified race. And the team says that he's a driver who has very good feedback and knows exactly what he wants in a race car. And even though a rookie in the series, he's got a couple of poles to his credit already, is very aggressive. You usually find him moving to the front, if not racing at the front of the field in these modified races.
Yeah, and he's got to live up to the history of the car that he's driving as well. As those 3 now get together, Woody Pitkat has reeled him in, and he's getting into the battle.
The list of drivers who have driven car number 3 are the who's who Hall of Famers in NASCAR modified competition. If you've driven the 3 car, you have certainly accomplished something, and some of the best have gone through that car. Jake Johnson adding his name to this list, and this is a race car. They home build these race cars. These are not where you go to a chassis builder, you buy all the parts and pieces and put them on. These chassis are built by the Bowler family. That's how they've always done it, and they've always found success.
Well, he drives in deep that time into turn 1 and finally makes the pass on Anthony Nocella as we're a third of the way through the Mohegan Sun 100.
Nocella with the bump draft off the end of the back straightaway and into turn 3. Back up front, while we were watching that battle, Doug Coby in the 7 New York has been able to jump to the race lead. Bonsignor and Silk in chase, and you see that Ripkema is not in the picture as much as he was. He's fallen back now a couple of car lengths, but as I say that, off turn number 2, Ripkema gets a good run down the back straightaway and closes right to the back bumper. Yeah,
and here's another change for the lead. Bonsignor going back to the point as he works underneath Doug Coby, but yeah, it's a firm 4-car freight train right now up front.
Now watch Bonsignor and Coby starting to gap the 16 car of Ronnie Silk. For the most part, we've seen those 3 cars pretty much nose to tail, but 2 cars starting to open it up ever so slightly. You see the clouds building off turn number 2 from that speed shot on the back straightaway. That is on the mind of these drivers as we get closer to the halfway point.
Yeah, it's in full view as they come down the straightaway, so they know they want to stay up front. They've exchanged the lead enough times that they know how to get that done, so they will continue to run together. They have left Austin Beers kind of orphaned out there, running in the 4th spot all by himself with no drafting help.
Tyler Ripkema, a strong run in 4th, keeping an eye on him. He said a couple of weeks ago that I've been racing at tracks that I really don't have a lot of experience at, and that's definitely hurt our team in the performance. I was looking forward to getting to a track that I've got some experience at. I've run at a handful of times. They've had a great season so far with a top 5 and a couple of top 10 finishes. Running right now in the 4th spot in that family-owned number 32 car. Tyler Ripkema having a good start to his day, but still a long way to go in this one, and one pit stop in between that can certainly change everything depending on how the strategy plays out.
Work their way through the 3rd and 4th turn once again.
As Kobe rides in 2nd, we go back and take a look at Kyle Bonsignor. That's the cousin of Justin Bonsignor, and Corey LaJoie, who darts down to the inside of the racetrack. LaJoie now moves into the 6th position as he starts to regain some ground. Bobby Santos has been quiet back in the 44 car in 8th, but that's not unlike him. When he has won all the races that he's won, it's like, where's Bobby Santos? And then all of a sudden he's going for the lead and going for the win. So that's pretty common in his strategy here, to hang back until after the pit stop.
Yeah, those guys are all running together. That's another 4 or 5 car length, 5 car group, including Ronnie Williams in the 99. Williams is right there with Santos, and then Matt Swanson right behind him in the 89.
Corey LaJoie, back early in his career before he became a NASCAR Cup Series veteran, had a handful of Whelen Modified Tour starts under his belt. Teamed up with Robbie Fuller for this race. Had a Troyer chassis in that group. This is an R&D car, and before the race practice yesterday, Corey LaJoie spent about 15 minutes on his back along with Rob Fuller, just looking at the undercarriage of that race car, the suspension, the technology that Rob Fuller, the chassis builder, has put in this one car to be able to make it perform. And that's one of the things that Rob Fuller has been so good at over the years. He's really innovated the modified chassis and has made the next generation of modified style of racing. And Corey LaJoie has got the future step of that built into that number 1 car here today.
Yeah, so he is studying it for sure and is able to give a little better feedback if he knows how the car is designed, particularly the undercarriage and the suspension of the car. So did a long time studying the bottom of the car as those 5 cars all run together.
And he doesn't come into this race lightly. He said, I get the opportunity to line up against some of the best modified racers in the country. And when I have the opportunity to run extra races outside of the Cup Series, which I don't get very often, to be able to run in modified competition is fantastic. He enjoys the races. He likes being a part of this field. Kyle Bonsignor right behind him in 2nd. He's had a great season, I should say, in the 7th position. He's had a great season as well, and he's right in the mix here with Corey LaJoie, both having solid top 10 runs.
Making their way down the backstretch right now, and yeah, Kyle Bonsignor staying right there within striking distance of LaJoie. Again, we're talking about the 6th and 7th spot.
Bobby Santos sitting back there a step behind. You see the gap now up front. This is the race leader, Justin Bonsignor and Doug Kobe. They have now opened up over a 1-second advantage back to the 3rd place car, Ronnie Silk. The battle up here started to calm down a bit. We're 43 laps into the Mohegan Sun 100 here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And Justin Bonsignor now a 2, make it 3 car length advantage back to Doug Kobe as his car continues to get stronger as the run goes on.
Yeah, he's completely settled in at this point, and Kobe fine to at least keep him in view and keep him from getting too far out in front. Again, as we click the laps off, coming up to 45 complete of the Mohegan Sun 100.
Justin Bonsignor said every race that you come here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway is different. I don't bother going back and looking at game film, so to speak, seeing how old races play out. He says it really doesn't help me all that much. What I really focus on is where my car is good early on in the race. And those drivers up front, the testing that they did, swapping the lead back and forth for the first 30 laps of this race, they learned about everything that they need to know, where the weaknesses are of their opponents, where the strengths are of their opponents, and they will use that when we get inside 5 laps to go when they try to go for the win.
Corey LaJoie's got a little breathing room over Kyle Bonsignor right now.
You see LaJoie's car loose, working through turns 3 and 4. That car dancing through the turns as he's able to keep it under wraps. There is that 32 we talked about early in the broadcast of Tyler Ripkema. hailing from Owego, New York in that 32 car. A handful of races ago brought on Jan Leedy, who was a former winner in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour and worked with Patrick Emmerling for many years and is again here today. Emmerling, who won an all-star shootout. They used to have a 35-lap all-star shootout with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour on Friday afternoon of this Cup Series weekend. And Patrick Emmerling was a driver that won that race, and the guy who tuned him to that victory is helping out the 32 car of Tyler Ripken.
And we've seen Jan Leedy run and win a lot of races here in the modifieds at New Hampshire, going back many, many years. So he's certainly familiar with this racetrack.
And Ron Silk directly ahead. There you see the gap between first, second, and this great battle for third and fourth. Ripkema diving to the bottom in turns 1 and 2. Sweeps out in front of Ron Silk. Silk closes in, not able to challenge though, and put the nose back to the inside.
Yeah, Ripkema felt it was time and made that move. Silk stays right with him, however, as they race into turn 3.
Part of this drafting is not necessarily going with drivers that work well with your body like you see as far as the Fords working with Fords and Toyotas and Chevrolets all working together, manufacturers aligning with each other, but it's about finding a drafting partner that's got a good handling race car and somebody you can trust. And for Tyler Ripkema, running up among these champions, one of the best things he can do right now is build the comfort level and trust of those drivers around him as he runs towards the front of the field to make sure that when it counts at the end of the race, that he's got a dancing partner when the checkered flag is within sight.
Well, he's inside the top 3 at this point and starting to pull away from Ronnie Silk. So a strong run for Ripkema. And behind Silk, still running in the 5th spot, is Austin Beers in the number 64.
Past the halfway point now, you see the weather on the horizon. We've been lucky to avoid it so far today. We'll see if it becomes a factor as the race goes on. But Justin Bonsignore in command and starting to drive away from Doug Coby as we get deeper into this long green flag run to start in the League & Son 100. Ronnie Williams has been able to move up. He's picked up a spot. The 99 now in 6th. LaJoy, Bonsignore, and Matt Swanson in the white number 89, a car that he put together himself, running inside the top 10.
The leader, Bonsignore, would love to go back to victory lane. He's making his 25th start here at New Hampshire, and his win coming back in 2016. Watching that battle a little further back, Ronnie Williams on the move in the number 99.
Everybody to the bottom of the lapped automobile for Brian Dowsett. Kyle Bonsignore right there in the 22 car. Cam McDermott is the crew chief on that car. He was part of that victory as a spotter when Woody Pitcap won here a few years ago, so he knows how to get around this racetrack and be a part of a winning team. And Kyle Bonsignore and he have been working very well together as of late and have been inside the top 5 in the championship standings here this season. Coming in last year was 2nd in that dramatic finish as they came across the line.
There's a move by Corey LaJoy. Dives down underneath Ronnie Williams to take that spot back.
So LaJoy, his car starting to come back to life. That'll put him in 6th after falling back a few positions after the green flag. Matt Swanson making a rare start this season in the white number 89. In a car that he put together himself. There's Swanson running in 9th.
Yeah, this is the best race on the track right now. The run for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, they're all running together.
His family runs a auto dealership in New England. He decided that he'd go and work for one of his car owners in another modified series, Gary Casella, where they've been picking up some wins lately. Matt Swanson, one of the hottest drivers in open wheel competition here in New England, although not in the Whelen Modified Tour, has done a very good job here of putting this car together, and a race car that, you know, when you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it and then go out there and see it run inside the top 10 in the biggest stage of the season, it's going to make that team and that family feel pretty proud of the effort put in the 89 camp.
Yeah, Ronnie Williams hooked to the back bumper of Corey LaJoy, backs off a little bit as they race into the 3rd turn. But LaJoy will lead him again down the front stretch and across the stripe.
LaJoy's ties to modified racing do run deep. It's his family from the Northeast. There's Williams going underneath, but His godfather is actually Ronnie Silk's father, and Ronnie Silk's godfather is Randy LaJoie, Corey LaJoie's father. Those two families have long known each other. Back in the early days of Randy LaJoie's career, it was the Silk family that worked on their race cars, and they've got the opportunity to race together here in Loudon here in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, as we're 57 laps in, and Corey LaJoie running 7th in his number 1 car.
A true family affair for sure. Ronnie Williams, when he got back around Corey LaJoie, starts to put a little bit of breathing room, and just as I say that, Corey LaJoie starts to reel him back in. So again, best race on the track right there. And here comes Kyle Bonsignor with a move.
Working to the inside lane of the racetrack of Corey LaJoie. Swanson, he'll go with the Cup Series regular to the outside lane and push past Bonsignor as Bonsignor gets hung out to dry on the inside lane.
Yeah, Matt Swanson's starting to pick it up a little bit. He's up on the back bumper of Corey LaJoie.
Swanson now pulls out of line, getting into turn 3. They draw even. Now ahead for Swanson. Here's LaJoie, though, battling back on the outside lane, but Swanson will clear. Coming off the turn, a little bit of bumper tag down the front straightaway. LaJoie pokes the nose in the inside, but Swanson wants more in 1.
Sure does want more. Right underneath Ronnie Williams into turn number 1. And we'll be up in front of him out of turn 2 and down the backstretch.
What a move by Matt Swanson. This battle, the bottom half of the top 10. Swanson running in 6th. Ronnie Williams, the 99. Corey LaJoie in the 1. And Kyle Bonsignor in the 22. Now Jake Johnson running in 10th. He'll put his name in the hat to get into this battle. Dark clouds overhead. You can see the racetrack darkening as we get later into this one. 40 laps to go. Bonsignor wide off turn number 2, nearly collected the outside safer barrier. Williams putting the heat on Swanson.
Yeah, big time. Locks right onto the back bumper of Matt Swanson down across the front stretch and into turn 1. Backs off in time to let him get into the turn. Meanwhile, right behind them, a pretty good battle. Kyle Bonsignor around Corey LaJoie and Jake Johnson on the move in the number 3.
Williams back to the bottom. 2-time track champion. The famed Stafford Motor Speedway, the half mile in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. Picks up another spot, getting by Swanson. And boy, LaJoie got pretty well used up getting in turns 1 and 2 that time. Modified style as it was Nerf bars out for the 22 of Kyle Bonsignor. Drove deep into turn 1 and was able to get by him a lap ago. Now Jake Johnson gets through, and Corey LaJoie now in the 10th spot.
Swanson would like to get that spot back from Ronnie Williams. He took a peek to the inside, but just wasn't going to make the move at that time as Justin Bonsignor continues to drive away. 1.2 seconds is his lead as we're now 63 complete of the Mohegan Sun 100.
Look at the gap that Justin Bonsignor has built up back to the 2nd place car, who is now Tyler Ripkema in the 32 car. Doug Kobe is back in 3rd. 4th, Beers, Austin Beers, and Ron Silk now 5 seconds behind the race leader after battling up in front. Here is the battle. That's Doug Kobe. Not too long ago, Kobe was right on the back bumper of Justin Bonsignor. He's riding back in 3rd behind Tyler Ripkema.
Well, you see the difference that we've gotten this deep into the race without an opportunity for a pit stop. So a lot of the race cars used up or partially used up at this point. And you got to know they're going pretty hard because they're as aware of the weather as we are.
This is a tricky situation, not something that these teams see very often. Having to race the weather today. Does it become a factor? We don't know. We've gone green so far. Tyler Ripkema, 1.3 seconds behind the race leader, Justin Bonsignor, has never won in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and he's having a career day here today as he begins to work lap traffic for one of the few times he has been in this position in his career. Oh, trouble. Justin Bonsignor into the back of Anthony Nocella for the 2nd time in a row. Week-wise, last week Nocella got bumped out of the way by the race leader as a lap car, and he does again here today with Bonsignor, and the caution is out. here in the Mohegan Sun 166 laps in, and Justin Bonsignore is out in front of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour event at New Hampshire. So Justin Bonsignore leading the way here at the Magic Mile on the Mohegan Sun 100. Great to have you with us here for an outstanding race that we have seen so far. And Bonsignore has had a dominating run and a dominating performance throughout the day so far. Caution for weather. A little bit of rain out there on the racetrack. Bonsignore the leader. Tyler Ripkema second. Doug Kobe. Austin Beers. And the 16 of Ron Silk. That is your top three. Or top five, excuse me. Ronnie Williams, Kyle Bonsignore. The 89 car of Matt Swanson. Jake Johnson, and the 1 of Corey LaJoie. That's your top 10 as caution came out for a little bit of rain around the circuit here at the Magic Mile.
Flat left front for Max McLaughlin in the 77. He just went by us here on the front stretch in a shower of sparks and the left front tire flopping around. So he would like to get on to pit road, but not quite yet as we remain under caution, lap 67 of 100.
Field coming down across the start-finish line as pit road at the moment remains closed. Talked about Max McLaughlin and the problems that he has in that 77 car. Last year made one lap, was involved in an incident, but today's race is a 75th race in NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's the 75th year of NASCAR, and back in 1990, Mike McLaughlin, the dad of Max McLaughlin, who now brings that car down pit road, won the inaugural Whelen Modified Tour race here at this racetrack. So Max McLaughlin, under rainy conditions, has got his car down on pit road. Right front tire going on. They'll change the right rear while he's on pit road as well.
And I think we're going to see everybody pull down onto pit road with the weather that we're having really coming down. Lap 68 of 100.
Great battle early on in this race, the first 40 laps between three champions, Justin Bonsignore, Ron Silk, Doug Kobe. They were going at it, swapping the lead inside and outside over and over and over again. And boy, it was spectacular for this team. And we went green flag the entire way so far before the rains came here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And the cars now, Pete, as you said, being brought down pit lane here in the Mohegan Sun 100 as the rain is now certainly covered this racetrack in full here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Well, we'll see whether they're going to come out with car covers here as they're being brought down on pit road, and will stop just down at the end of pit road. And yeah, the crews making their way onto pit road with the car covers, get them covered up as soon as they can, as we got quite a downpour going on here at New Hampshire.
So the field just about all parked here along pit lane. Rain coming down pretty heavy here at the moment as the cars will get tended to, the covers begin to come out, and we'll get a good look here at all the machines. The 51, Justin Bonsignore, started the race today from the pole position, his third consecutive here at the track. And boy, outside of those lead changes, once we got stretched out there under that long green flag run, Justin Bonsignore never looked back, and he was opening things up. Although Ripkema trying to run him down before the caution flag came out, Justin Bonsignore was just on the move. That car a rocket ship here this afternoon in New Hampshire. So red flag is out, car covers being placed on the race cars. Rain still coming down here at the racetrack. Hard to tell from the camera angle, but we can see it on the glass of the booth here, and many of the fans here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway have taken cover and made their way underneath the grandstands here at the racetrack as they start to roll up the flags here atop the flag stand. Sean Houlihan, Bob Slade, the official starters here for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, holding court atop the flag stand, and just about all the cars covered up here along the pit lane.
When we talked at the beginning about how normally this race is so drama-filled, we didn't throw the weather into that drama. So this is makes for an interesting situation here as we're deep into the Mohegan Sun 100 for the modifieds, and not going to say that it wasn't predicted for today, but we certainly felt like we were going to get all the way through this one before we had any precipitation.
This season for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, a 19-race schedule that covers a variety of racetracks in a variety of different states. A long season that started in February, carries all the way up through October to end at Martinsville Speedway. And the schedule that has been put together this year is absolutely outstanding. We get to the second half of the season, just about the midway point, race number 9 here today. At the end of the month of July 29th, the series moves on to the Clash at Claremont, a JDV Productions event. Josh Veneta and his entire team, they've put together the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup, a mini-series among the races produced by JDV Productions, and it involves the races at Monadnock Speedway here in New Hampshire, the Lee USA Speedway, as well as the Claremont Speedway. So the next time the series is in action 2 weeks from today, you'll have an opportunity to race for some extra cash that'll be on the line. Doug Kobe is the current point leader within that battle, a mini championship chase, and he's hoping that he can bring that home all the way and capture that Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup here in the 2023 season at the next race on tour, the Claremont Speedway, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, we're watching Doug have a conversation with Justin Bonsignor down on pit road. They're out of the cars. They're not covered by umbrellas or even hats at this point. They're rehashing the early stages of this race when they were all running together and exchanging the lead on and off. Obviously a friendly conversation going on between those guys as we waited out here for weather in New Hampshire.
From there, the series will continue an outstanding schedule. We'll go out to the Lancaster Speedway out in New York, and then one of the fan favorite events is in Thompson, Connecticut, that special Wednesday night event, Pete, and you're one of the track announcers at Thompson Speedway. That race has always been thrilling. High banks, 5/8 mile competition, one of the hallmarks in the original tracks that was part of the Whelen Modified Tour schedule going back to 1985.
Yeah, when they run that summer NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race at Thompson, that's the time when you see people that you haven't seen in quite a while. It seems to be like an annual pilgrimage that everybody goes to Thompson for that modified race. I see a lot of the drivers from the past that show up to watch that race. It really is the highlight of the summer beyond this race, but a real highlight of modified racing in New England. Yes. That Wednesday night midsummer race at the Thompson Speedway.
Yeah, it truly is. It's an outstanding event, draws a lot of crowd. Wednesday night event, August 16th. It continues to roll on. Langley Speedway in Virginia, Oswego Speedway on Labor Day weekend in New York, then back to the short track at Monadnock Speedway here in New Hampshire, and that's a racetrack that's a lot of fun as well. It's a short bull ring, about a third-mile racetrack, high banks, and you can really be aggressive. If you want to see these cars run on a really tight quarter-mile racetrack, that's the place to be because they are up on the wheel, elbows up the entire way.
Great banking at that racetrack, a true quarter-mile bull ring for sure. And the fun part about Monadnock is it's different at either end of the speedway. So you don't drive turns 1 and 2 like you do drive turns 3 and 4. And yeah, we've seen the tour at Monadnock this season earlier, thanks to a JDV Productions. That race held back on the 6th of May. Doug Kobe was the winner of that race. And Bonsignor was the pole sitter. They'll do it all over again at Monadnock coming up on the 9th of September.
While we work through some of the updates of the schedule as the season goes on, they have put the Air Tundra trucks out on the racetrack. They're working off turn number 2, seeing if they can get this track dried and ready to go back towards race condition. Of course, to the car sitting on pit road, we are on lap 69 of the Mohegan Sun 100 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We're about ready to see these cars roll off the pit lane and get back after it.
Yeah, I call it redemption. The fact that we're going to be able to resume this race, even though Mother Nature tried to throw a negative at us, we're able to get this going again. And thank God for the sunshine that's now coming down on parts of the racetrack. So it's going to feel good to get them back underway and not have to lose to the weatherman here this afternoon.
Well, David McGrath, who runs this racetrack here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, earlier in the day today, he's the vice president and general manager of New Hampshire Motor Speedway, stood in front of the crowd and said, "You New England fans are the best fans in racing." And they're proving it here today to be able to stick around for this modified race. They have certainly come out in full force. They've picked their favorites, and they are here. And so race fans that are with us here today, we appreciate you sticking this out with us. We know the rain has been tough here in New England, but you're with us, and you're ready to see what is bound to be an outstanding finish to this Mohegan Sun 100 if the first 69 laps are any indication of what we'll see in the final third of this race.
Now, we talked about the track changing with the conditions of the rain washing rubber off the racetrack and so forth. We also talked about, the cars and the setup and how that's going to change from the way they originally had them set up. What about the drivers themselves as we watch Justin Bonsignor driving around with a rag still on the Nerf bar right behind the left front wheel? Again, using that rag to help dry the car off, but it ended up getting a ride out on the racetrack. The drivers themselves, this is an adjustment. They've now been waiting the better part of an hour, or yes, an hour on pit road, decompressing after being all psyched up for the initial start, after being all into it when the green flag dropped. Now they got to do it all over again.
Well, a couple of things. These drivers all grew up racing on 30, 40 lap feature events. They're going to have fresh tires. They'll have the opportunity to go out there and crank off a couple of quick laps and go get it done and get up on the wheel for a good old Saturday night short track shootout in New England. That's not new for them. But there's some drivers and teams that, we talked about the family combination, the neighborhood drivers. There's some drivers out in the field today who, they not only drive the race car, but they also tune on it. They also make the calls from a setup standpoint from the seat in the race car and have to communicate that to the team and the group that's making the wrenches. So I think for those drivers it's a little harder because now they've had to think about their race car. What am I going to do? Are we going to go back racing? Are we not going to go back racing? Can we get a setup that's going to be good? And so I think there's a couple of different stories in this, but for the guys like Justin Bonsignor, Doug Coby, and Ron Silk, they got out of the car, they took a breather, they're going to get back in, and as soon as they put that helmet on, it is game time, ready to get after it, and they're ready for the checkered flag. And I don't see them skipping a beat, one stretch or 1 minute as we get to the finish of this one. We've got the track services team, the Air Titans, the jet dryers now running up and down pit road as the cars circulate around the magic mile. Trying to get this pit road dried off. The pit road doesn't look all that wet. It's not too bad, but it doesn't take much to have a problem. And so they'll work to try to make a pass here along pit road and see if they can get this pit road dry enough for a safe round of pit stops. And a pretty smart move, I think, by NASCAR to be able to make a wise decision because we're also coming up against darkness here in New England. And we've got 30 laps to go. And, they're turning laps pretty quick here around this racetrack, but you're going to need a little bit of time to be able to finish this race. And, you've got to count that into this as well. Fortunately, we got a little bit extra daylight here, still in the early days of summer that we can capitalize on here and race into the darkness a little bit. But that's another thing that they're trying to consider here as we get the green flag soon enough for this modified race.
Well, as you said a few minutes ago, NASCAR will make a decision how they're going to allow the pitting to happen here. And that decision will be made, obviously, after they run the jet dryers and the air tundras down the pit road one more time as the cars continue to circle their way around. And right now, on the radios with their crews, discussing again the changes that they probably discussed while that long red flag was going on, but they want to certainly be sure that they're going to do what they need to do when they come to pit road, whether it's a controlled pit stop or a live pit stop. We'll
take a look and reset the running order with us. If you were just coming back to your seat here in the grandstand, or even maybe just rejoining the FloRacing broadcast with us here today. Justin Bonsignore is the race leader, 71 laps in, back under the caution flag. We've had just one caution of the day before going to the red flag. Justin Bonsignore has been up front throughout the day, swapping the lead early on. Tyler Ripkema charged from a starting position a bit deeper in the field in the 10th spot. He's running in second. Doug Kobe in the 7 New York, a multi-time, 4-time winner here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, riding in the 3rd spot. Austin Beers, the Richmond winner, he sits in 4th. You've got Ron Silk in 5th. That's your top 5. There's the Beers 64 with a good strong run here for him today inside the top 5, and then the 16 of Ron Silk running in 5th. Ronnie Williams is 6th. Kyle Bonsignore is 7th. Matt Swanson is 8th. Jake Johnson and Corey LaJoie, that's your top 10. We've got Chase Dowling in the field, 11th. Patrick Emmerling, who finished 10th in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race earlier today. And Bobby Santos has been quiet. He's 13th in the 44 car, the 19th of Anthony Nocella, and then the 6 car of Woody Pitkat, your top 15. Eric Goodale, 58. He's 16th. Andy Seiss, Dave Zapienza, Eddie McCarthy in the 46 of Anthony Nocella. That's your top 20. And the 21st car still on the lead lap. We'll get the free pass here. Is going to be Tommy Catalano when we get back under the green flag. So about halfway up pit road are the track drying equipment, and they're navigating that forward. You know, Pete, we talked earlier about the spotter. Doug Kobe has got Freddie Kraft, who is a spotter for Bubba Wallace at 2311 Racing in the NASCAR Cup Series. Tyler Mon, who is a sponsor for Kyle Larson, he's spotting for Dave Zapienza in this Whelen Modified Tour race. And William Byron spotter Brandon Lines is spotting for the 20 of Eddie McCarthy. And so some of these teams have opted to go with Cup Series spotters because of the differences of spotting at a racetrack this large, but also the draft that comes into play. And what that allows some of the drivers to do is get more information on what's happening 2 or 3 cars behind them. If you watch a race at Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta, you're often wondering where that run is coming. Run is coming outside, 2 cars back. Here's the car leading that line. They can see the draft in those runs developing because they've got the experience doing it and experience calling a race from the spotter stand at a racetrack this big. It's not a quarter-mile bull ring. It's not a half-mile track that they run in week and week out. So there's an art to it, and some of the teams opted to go to the Cup Series to get some of those top-level talent to spot for this race today.
Well, and it's great those guys are available and helpful in the situations as you described it. Certainly a plus for those guys that have been able to get some of those Cup spotters up on the roof for them today.
Tyler Ripkema in that 32 machine. What a day he has had. And this has been one of the teams that's been a real bright spot, adding to the Whelen Modified Tour, as he and his family have come on full-time this season. Had run on and off the last couple of seasons, but they've come on really strong here this year and have been excited and enthusiastic about the performance they have had. And he was one of the only cars at the end of that one. I mean, they were watching the weather, I'm sure, but he was running down Justin Bonsignore. And we'll see what they decide to do here on this pit stop. This is going to be critical. And for teams like Tyler Ripkema, not to take anything away from them because they've had a great day, but they haven't been in this position all that frequently. I mean, the rain and the red flag aside, but when you're in second and you've got to make a call that's going to give you an opportunity to win this race and battle at a racetrack like this, I mean, this is a bit of uncharted territory for them, even though they've had multiple top 5s and good, strong runs as the season has gone on. A lot of pressure, I think, on that 32 camp and that family team back there on pit road to make the right call when pit road does eventually open up.
Yeah, historic run, particularly in this particular race here at New Hampshire, to be running second and with the possibility of getting out front, depending upon what happens when you come to pit road here for this round of pit stops, which will be the only pit stops, at least as we can predict, with 73 laps into this Mohegan Sun 100.
Now, we're still waiting to see what the plan is going to be for the live pit stop or if it'll be a modified live pit stop. But if you haven't seen a pit stop on a modified car, they're not like today's Cup Series car with the one lug in the middle. They're not like the Xfinity Series cars of today where you have a hub and 5 lug nuts at the center of the wheel. The lug nuts for a modified wheel are at the extreme outside, almost near where the rubber and the rim come together. And so pit stops on a modified are a little slower as a result, because that pattern with the air gun is a lot wider of a diameter as you work your way around the wheel.
Well, and not to put down any of the crew on any of these teams, but they don't get the opportunity to practice together as a pit crew necessarily, like you'd see with the Cup cars. Nor are they, may I say, not be in the kind of shape that some of those Cup crew members are. And you got to pull off that big 15-inch wide tire on the car and get it out of the way and put another one up there. That's a little bit of a challenge.
Well, we have a lot of things in the Whelen Modified Tour, but there are not that many D1 college football athletes that ended their career and became pit crew guys or ladies for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, but that's part of it, right? This is grassroots short track racing, and that's what it goes for. But the people on pit road, this is the moment that they live for. They are looking forward to getting over that pit wall and servicing these race cars and playing on the same stage that tomorrow, this time, the NASCAR Cup Series, well, hopefully not this time tomorrow. We'll get the race done before that. But, you know, tomorrow we'll be running on this same stage and pitting in those same boxes as the NASCAR Cup Series stars tomorrow. And that goes a long way, and that means a lot for these teams on pit road. I'm still liking that idea that Jose put out about that pit crew challenge that we had a handful of years ago. That was pretty neat.
For sure. Well, there's plenty of space here. Good-sized pit stalls compared to some of the infield pitting that you have to do at the smaller tracks. So they got plenty of room to work with. They are just psyched and ready to go for this.
So field working off the back straightaway, taking a look down to turn number 4, and the green light at the entrance of pit road has turned on. And that tells us that pit road is open. The track drying equipment has left pit road. We have not gotten the official indication yet from NASCAR as to whether or not it'll be a live pit stop or modified live, but we're going to just let it play out here and we'll figure it out with you. Field rolls through turns 3 and 4. Pace car at the helm. Justin Bonsignor leading the way. And the word is that we will have live pit stops today. So the men and women of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour will now become center stage. And who will be the quickest off of pit road? Justin Bonsignor, Tyler Ripkema, Doug Kobe, Austin Beers, Ronnie Silk. The entire field on the lead lap, making their way down to the attention of the crew, and it's time for the money stop for the best of the NASCAR Whelen Modified.
Yeah, the heart rates jumped up once they announced live pit stops down on pit road, and there they go, just as we talked about. And Tyler Ripkema we watch, along with Justin Bonsignor, who appears to take fuel that time around and gets pushed back out. They want to stay in the front. Going to make a right front tire change, at least for the second part of the pit stop for Tyler Ripkema.
Interesting strategy here. Remember, you cannot take fuel and tires on the same stop. So a couple of cars, including the 51 of Justin Bonsignor, fuel only. Fuel only for Patrick Emmerling. Fuel only for Jake Johnson. They are some of the first cars off of pit road. Now, the rest of the field that's coming off pit lane now, they decided to take tires, and that is going to change the dynamics and the strategy when they come right back down pit road. So next time by, pit road's going to be open for the lap down vehicles, but we'll see if some of the race leaders decide to come down pit road and get their second stop, whether it's tires or fuel. Here comes Justin Bonsignor, the race leader. He's back on pit road. This time, he with Emmerling and Jake Johnson, they are all going to be looking for tires on the pit lane.
So it won't be as quick of a stop, that's for sure, but they'll get down here, and because they got out nice and early last time by taking fuel only, getting a little bit of a head start compared to some of these other cars that are now pulling in that put fresh rubber on, but they're going to take fuel this time.
And that advantage might be just enough for Justin Bonsignor to hold on. He had a massive lead when they came down pit road because he was able to catch up to the rear end of the field. Right side tires go on, but a slow stop on Bonsignor on the right rear. They dropped the jack before the right rear tire was completely fastened to that race car. Now they're over to the left side. 4-tire stop for Bonsignor and his team. Can the race leader get a good clean stop? Other cars already leaving pit road. Bonsignor drops the jack, but I don't believe he's going to be the first car off of pit road. Tyler Ripkema is out ahead of him, along with the 07 of Patrick Emmerling. So Justin Bonsignor is going to lose the race lead on pit road. There you see it on the screen here. Right rear tire was not quite done. He had 3 lug nuts still to put on the right side of that 51 car when they dropped the jack. And Justin Bonsignore, just like that, goes from the catbird seat to now no longer leading the Mohegan Sun 100.
Well, they're going to get him lined up here as we get the signal from the starter's stand. Cars that will come around and rejoin the rear of the field.
So there you see it. Everything is now changed. The strategy has been played. Tommy Baldwin has made the call for Doug Coby, and they assume the race lead out in front of the round of pit stops. Justin Bonsignore will restart from the 10th position after leading and being dominant in the early part of this race. There'll be 22 laps to go when the field gets the green flag and the resumption after a red flag and a rain delay as darkness begins to settle in here at the Magic Mile, New Hampshire. The front row, a pair of champions. Doug Coby to the outside is the race leader, and Ronnie Silk to the inside lane, row 2. Matt Swanson on the bottom, Anthony Cecily to the outside of the 19, and Woody Pitkat, who won this race in 2014, inside the top 5 as we get set to get back under the green flag here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Want to see them get down into turn 1. First time at speed on a green racetrack. This is going to be interesting.
Green flag is out from atop the flag stand, and they are off and running into turn number 1. 3 wide deeper in the pack, but it's Silk to the bottom, trying to take the race lead away from Doug Coby.
And here comes Matt Swanson down on the inside. Can't make the pass on Coby. The outside lane making the move, and here comes Coby with a move down underneath Ron Silk.
Slingshot move to work to the inside of turn 3. Doug Coby back to the point. Silk second, and Anthony Cecily, who has not been in the top 5 all day long, finds himself in 3rd.
Jockeying for position further back, 2 by 2. Santos in there, Jake Johnson and Ronnie Williams all trying to get back to the front.
Bobby Santos in the middle of that as well. Here is Austin Beers from 5th, diving to the bottom of turn 3. Sweeps up in front of Anthony Cecily, goes from 5th to 3rd in 1 corner. Behind them, Justin Bonsignore is mired in a 2 and 3 wide battle at the bottom half of the top 10, while Doug Coby and Ron Silk try to run away with the race lead and get as far away from Justin Bonsignore as they can.
Yeah, they've started to pull away. They'd like to make it a 2-man race.
Here's
Austin
Pitkat.
Beers is pulling them in, and Pitkat trying to make a move down on the bottom, slips up.
Here's a replay. Watch Bonsignore getting bounced around off turn 4 as he was trying to race with Eric Goodale. Then he came down the racetrack, caught Patrick Emmerling, and that has cost him some ground. Silk back to the point.
Silk back in front, Coby right there, and Beers trying to reel in and stay with them. Here's Coby again with a look to the inside, and he makes the pass down into turn 3.
Inside lane, Coby back to the point. Beers closing in there in 3rd. Jake Johnson wheel to wheel with Woody Pitkat. They nearly come together off turn number 4. But up front, Doug Coby pacing the way, and Justin Bonsignore now up to 7th. He's got some racetrack to go if he's going to catch Tyler Ripkema directly ahead.
Yeah, we've got the split screen working there as the caution comes out.
Caution is out. The 26 of Max Zackham has come to a stop to the outside lane of the racetrack, and that brings out the caution now for the 2nd time today after the red flag. First one here is the safety services team will make their way up to Max Zackham there in the middle of turns 1 and 2. And caution flag out once again here in the Mohegan Sun 100. Correction, it's the 44 of Bobby Santos who's involved. You can see it from the angle that we had. Saw the black car. I was thinking it was the back of the 26 for Max Zackham. So Bobby Santos unbuckling, getting ready to get out of that race car, bringing out the caution here on lap 83.
Yeah, this is a little bit of drama to see Santos, who was definitely one of the favorites coming into this race, but he's getting ready to climb out of that thing, so he's made enough contact up there that he will be out.
Well, Santos getting ready to climb out of that race car, just his first start of the season. Get a look at it here from the speed shot in turns 1 and 2. That car took off in the middle of the corner, and boy, he hit at a ton, slapping the right side of that car pretty flat against the outside safer barrier. But the incident was already in motion. Hard to tell whether or not something broke on the race car or whether or not there was contact that sent him up the racetrack. But a tough break right in the middle of turns 1 and 2 for Bobby Santos. He is walking now to the ambulance here, and we'll head in the safety services ambulance back into the infield to get checked out. But tough break for Santos, who really didn't have an opportunity to show his strength here tonight. Another look at it here, left side of your screen at full speed. He's going to feel that tomorrow morning. Tough hit for Santos.
For sure. And with such a green racetrack, no chance to try and get the handles back on that thing. It just sailed right up into the wall.
16 laps to go. Doug Coby, Ron Silk, Austin Beers, Anthony Sesley, and the 32 of Tyler Ripkema, your top 5. We haven't discussed Anthony Sesley at all today because he hasn't been in the mix. He hasn't been at the front of this field. And he's got a race car that is tuned by Steven Kopchik, who a few years ago, this racetrack held a fall race, and it was called the Musket 250. It was won by Chase Dowling in 2018. The driver was tuned by Steven Kopchik, and he's a driver who works, I say driver because he's a great driver in and of itself, but he's a crew chief on this number 19 car for Anthony Sesley. And here in the late going, a strategy call to be able to get them the track position out in front on that pit stop for Anthony Sesley, but he hasn't raced here in 14 years. Races heavily in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, but Sesley in that 19 car, first start in 14 years here at this racetrack. And where was Anthony Nocella when he won the race last year? 4th, coming off turn 4, and somehow he got the win. So not a bad place to be at the end of this race.
No, if he can stay right there, but going to have a lot of competition now that we've going to bunch them all up here for the restart. Remember, of course, got some guys that are really looking to get back up there in the thick of things, back up into the battle up front, including Tyler Ripkema, who's in 5th, and Justin Bonsignor is still back in 6th spot. They're going to look for to make some gain right here at the drop of the green flag.
Field has been given the 1-to-go signal. They're on the back straightaway in turn number 2. Now, the leader of the race can choose what lane they want to start in, outside or inside. Everybody else, it's odds to the bottom, even positions to the outside lane. So we'll see Doug Coby choose the outside on the restart. Ronnie Silk will start in the bottom. Justin Bonsignor in the 6th spot will start to the outside of row 3. As we get ready to turn them loose, 14 laps to go to settle the Mohegan Sun 100 here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway as a pace car in the field rolling through turns 3 and 4.
Pace car getting out of there in a hurry because they are chomping at the bit to get going. Here they come.
Green flag out, a good even start across the granite stripe for Doug Coby and Ron Silk. Deeper in the field, Jake Johnson will take him 3 wide in old blue to the bottom of the racetrack. But Ron Silk leads the charge off turn 2.
Yeah, Johnson keeping it down low, making it 3 wide, but that's not going to work as he gets drop kicked back a handful of spots. Up front, Coby for the lead down into turn 3.
And he takes it out in front of Ron Silk. Coby to the point. Behind them, Bonsignor working the outside lane to get back up to 4th as Austin Beers is shuffled out of line. He goes backwards on the bottom.
Yeah, without a dance partner, he's got to go back and work his way back up into the line. But interesting, a great restart for Justin Bonsignor. Gets him back there into the 4th spot.
Outside lane, he was able to pick up a couple of spots in the 51. Now he'll look high on Anthony Sesley. Sparks fly as they go over the bump into turn number 3. Now Bonsignor pokes the nose to the bottom. Does not have a lane this time by. Single file back to the start-finish line.
Trying to break the draft there. Silk dives to the bottom, trying to make the pass this time through the 1st and 2nd turn on Doug Coby, and does.
Boy, Anthony Sesley drove Bonsignor up the racetrack that time through. Opens up the door for Patrick Emmerling in the 07 to look to the bottom.
Emmerling with Goodale right behind him. Those are the 2 guys that were battling for the lead here last year and crashed coming to the finish line. They're trying to renew that battle and get back to the front.
Kobe back underneath Silk for the race lead. Bonsignor loses a spot to Patrick Emmerling. I asked Justin before the race, I said, knowing that you've got a fast race car, knowing that the draft is so important here at this racetrack, is it possible that you lose friends at the end of the race? He said, absolutely. That's part of the strategy play, and if you know a guy is fast and you can shuffle him out of line in the late going, right now, nobody is willing to work with the Bonsignor as Silk retakes the race. Out in front, a great battle among champions off turn 2.
Down the back stretch. Here comes Silk once again, right up on the back bumper of Kobe. Takes a peek to the inside, but he'll follow him into turn 3. Right behind him, though, they're side by side.
Emmerling to the bottom. Outside lane is Cecily. And he gets by. Bonsignor now working the bottom lane of the racetrack. Here's Silk once again to the bottom of turn 1.
Silk makes that pass, pulls up in front of Doug Kobe, and will lead him down the backstretch.
Bumper tag, nose to tail. Kobe pushing Silk, now pulls to the bottom, sweeps underneath him in turn number 3. Silk right back to the back bumper, looking off turn 4, can't do it. It's Kobe across the line, this time by 8 laps remain. Top 5 altogether, and Bonsignor in 4th. Patrick Emmerling, who won an all-star race here a few years ago in a modified, already ran 200 laps in the Xfinity Series for a top 10 finish. In 3rd, and he was in that battle as they came across the line last year, nearly won this event. He goes to the bottom on Silk, slides up the racetrack. The two come together off turn 4.
Yeah, a lot of rubbing to the Nerf bar there. They're able to keep it together through the 3rd and 4th turn and race down the front stretch.
Emmerling did not have enough to get by him that time by, has to settle into 3rd. Drivers will tell you if you can be in the top 5 with 3 laps to go, you have a shot at winning here at New Hampshire. Here's Bonsignor. Bottom shot move into turn number 3, trying to clear Patrick Emmerling. Can he get the pass done? And he does off turn 4.
Well, that was masterful driving because Emmerling was trying to block as best he could, but Bonsignor was not swayed. Kept the nose right in there, got underneath and made the pass.
Remember the rivalry that's brewing between Ronnie Silk and Justin Bonsignor. Last week, Silk booted Justin Bonsignor out of the way to get the win at the Wall Stadium. That was a short track. Today, it's the big game. To the inside lane, Bonsignor looking for 2nd.
Bonsignor stuffs it in there, gets around Ronnie Silk, pulls up in front of him and goes to 2nd.
Bonsignor lost ground on pit road for a right rear challenge. Now with a shove, a draft to the inside lane from Ronnie Silk. Goes to the bottom. Justin Bonsignor back to the point. Kobe back to 2nd. Silk in 3rd, and they are battling again on the back straightaway.
He has been on a tear since the green flag came out on this most recent restart and gets into that battle of exchanging the lead back and forth. Here comes Kobe making the pass back to the point.
4 to go at the line, this time by. Justin Bonsignor leaning on the back bumper of Doug Kobe across the stripe and into turn 1. Follows in his tire tracks midway through the groove of the banking of turns 1 and 2. Now Kobe a car length advantage as Silk begins to fall back 3 car lengths between the top 2.
Yeah, Kobe down, Kobe down just a little bit on the backstretch so that Bonsignor can't set up that pass on the inside into turn 3, and it'll lead him down across the stripe.
Kobe pulls down to the inside, trying to break the draft, but Bonsignor will choose the outside lane into turn number 1. Bonsignor tries to set him up, looks to the inside lane, not close enough to put a wheel to the inside lane, and it is Doug Kobe, a car length out in front of the backstretch.
Yeah, Kobe changing his line a little bit, protecting that bottom, and if Bonsignor has to go to the top, Silk is going to pounce and try to take that space on the inside. So a lot of strategy being played out here.
2 to go, this time by. Bonsignor follows Kobe to the inside. Looks high, Silk starting to gain speed again. Kobe the race leader, but Justin Bonsignor is there. Looks to the inside, midway down the back straightaway. Kobe throws the block, but it's Bonsignor to the bottom.
Yeah, Bonsignor not deterred by that at all. Keeps the nose in there and is able to make the pass, but can he hold on to it as they come to the white flag?
1 lap to go here at the Magic Mile. 3 champions at the front. Justin Bonsignor, Doug Kobe, and Ronnie Silk, nose to tail. Can Doug Coby make a move to set up Justin Bonsignore on the back straightaway? Bonsignore protects the bottom. Coby goes high. Here comes Silk to take him 3 wide into 3. He can't do it.
Yeah, he can't make that work, so he has to back out of it. Meanwhile, Bonsignore on defense. Here comes Coby.
They come together off the turn, down to the line. Bonsignore on the outside lane, beating and banging on each other, and it's Justin Bonsignore to win the Mohegan Sun 100 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Doug Coby to the bottom lane of the racetrack, did everything he could to keep Justin Bonsignore behind him, but he fell back to the 10th position after the red flag, and Justin Bonsignore rallied back to get the win today in dramatic fashion in a photo finish across the line. Justin Bonsignore has won at New Hampshire.
Wins are important, but this one is going to be memorable for Justin Bonsignore. The way he came back, the battle that he had with Doug Coby, we'll look at it again.
Coby went to the outside lane when Bonsignore protected it. Silk had a good run. He went to the bottom. There just wasn't enough room for him to find a lane. He had to ease out of it in a veteran move. He could have wrecked them both. Here they came across the line. Bonsignore slid down, trying to protect the race lead and the race win, and he was able to fend off the challenge and any momentum that Doug Coby would have had to get the victory here today. They say you can't bump wheels in open wheel race cars. Well, he was nerf bar to nerf bar in a veteran-like move, and Justin Bonsignore here in the front straightaway saluting the fans, and an outstanding finish to a race that saw a rain delay, very few cautions, but a battle among the best and the top in modified competition.
Yeah, great burnout from Justin Bonsignore right here on the front stretch. A little bit of a smoke show here as he is thrilled with this finish. And yeah, they bumped off each other 2 or 3 times coming to the checkered flag, and that was defense on the part of Justin Bonsignore. And when Ron Silk thought about going 3 deep into turn 3, actually caught the left rear nerf bar of Bonsignore and thought better of it at that point.
Veteran move by Silk. Race fans saluting the New Hampshire Motor Speedway winner in 2023, his 37th career Whelen Modified Tour victory. Justin Bonsignore getting the job done here today. He'll capture the checkered flag across the granite stripe. This one lived up to the billing. What an exciting race. From the start of the green flag, we saw passing left, right, and center among 3 champions, Bonsignore, Coby, and Silk, and they carried that right through to the end. When you saw those 3 cars up front for the final 12 laps of this race, you really didn't know what you were going to expect, except one thing: a clean race to the finish among drivers with a tremendous amount of respect. And we saw that. They leaned on each other, sparks flew, but everybody's able to put their car on the trailer in one piece, and Justin Bonsignore today will win this battle and gain some momentum on that team against a couple of talented teams, talented drivers that used a different strategy to get track position and retake the race lead.
This is not unusual at New Hampshire. We see it year after year after year, the way they battle on the last lap. This was one of the best ones.
Justin Bonsignore making his way down to victory lane here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We'll hear from him momentarily and get the thoughts of our race winner. Just a tremendous event. The fans stuck it out here. We're heading towards darkness here in New Hampshire as we get past 8 o'clock now, but the fans have stuck it out to see this race, to see it all play out, and boy, it has lived up to every bit of it. And over an hour rain delay that just drenched this racetrack, 69 laps in. The pot of gold was hanging out over turn number 2 over there at the end of the rainbow, and we asked the question then whether or not Justin Bonsignore was looking for that pot of gold. Well, he found it, and it's in victory lane today after the rainbow came out when the sun was shining to dry this racetrack, to get it to conclusion for the final 31 laps. And boy, I think everybody here, everybody watching at home on FloRacing is certainly glad that they did put the effort in to get this racetrack dry here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway and see this race to conclusion.
I was just going to say, we got to give a shout out to the crews, the NASCAR officials and the crews that worked on this track feverishly to get it back to a racing condition and get this race in. Well worth the wait, and they did a great job to get this track race ready, and we got to see this.
So Justin Bonsignore climbing out of his number 51 down in victory lane here at the Magic Mile, victorious today in the Mohegan Sun 100 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We'll celebrate atop his car. The entire Ken Massa Phoenix Communications M3 technology team is there. Let's go trackside to Victory Lane, and Jose Castilla, he's with our winner.
So we're catching up here with Justin Bonsignore. Congratulations, man. Beating banging to the end. It was the magic mile written all over that race, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm glad we got that back going again. For all the fans that stuck out through that rain delay, we were hoping for it to just be rained out. We had such a nice big lead, and pitting, guys made it without taking fuel, and we went really conservative and lined up way deeper than I would have liked. But just was patient there and got to the lead, and I knew all week what move I wanted to make and where I wanted to be off of 2. And I thought I only had to protect Doug, and then I looked to the left, and Ron earned himself a nice block. So just crazy. The fact that we were able to drag race back to the line and beat Doug like that is awesome. It was a great day. Appreciate all the fans. I just want to thank Phoenix Communications, Clearcom IT Solutions, M3 Technologies, Robert Yates Engines for the big power, Fury Race Cars, my whole team, Ryan Stone, the pit crew, did a great job. Ken and Janine Massa, the whole Massa family, my wife Taylor. It's just amazing.
Awesome. Well, fans, how about it? He beat the sun. He made it into Victory Lane. Cheer on your winner, Justin Bonsignore, the winner of the Mohegan Sun 100.
Well, thank you, Jose. An outstanding run for Justin Bonsignore. He alluded to the pit stop strategy. A couple of cars decided to stay out, and that's what gave them that track position. Among them, Doug Kobe, Ron Silk, and they decided to make two stops, one for tires, one for fuel, the 51 of Justin Bonsignore, but somehow, some way, he was able to get the job done and end up with the win here today.
Tenacity is the word. He stuck at it and stayed out of trouble. And we did get that late caution for Bobby Santos in the wall, and that was a little bit of a help to him. But, boy, he drove the wheels off that thing in the last 5 laps.
Yeah, he was fast. I do think that's a good point, Pete. Without that caution there at the end, I think it would have been hard because of that start for Bonsignore to be able to find his way back up to the front. But Bonsignore, the winner, his 37th career NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour win, and it comes here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.